It's a competition clinching shot. Whoa! How about that?
The LET Golf Podcast, the official podcast of the Ladies European Tour.
Hello and welcome back to another episode of the LET Golf Podcast, the exclusive podcast from the Ladies European Tour, where we take you inside the ropes to chat to the stars of the show. I'm George Cooper, and with me from a very sunny South Africa is Nicola Kenton. Nicola, how are you today?
I'm good, thank you, George. How are you back in UK?
I'm good, yeah. I'm pretty jealous that you're out there, to be honest, but it is what it is. There is a bit of sun here, but nothing compared to what you have, I guess. Yeah. So no LET this weekend, was there? Which was a bit of a shame, but I guess it has given us a chance to break down the first month of action. What have you made of the season so far? 3 events in?
Yeah, exactly. Very good start to the season, I think. We've had a lot of players from last year who've continued their form coming into 2023. But then, as we've both seen, a lot of the rookies that we've had come in through Q School over Christmas time are really making their presence known this year. So I think it's been a good mix of players that we've got at the top. Obviously, we've had 3 separate winners, all people who have won on the LET before so far. So we'll see when we get our first time winner, because obviously we had a lot of those in 2022. But yeah, good start to the season, I think, and good for the tour.
Yeah, really exciting. Like you say, I think we will get plenty of first-time winners this year. And a DT flying at the top of the race to Costa del Sol. That's sort of shaping up nicely already, isn't it?
Yeah, exactly. The fact that, first 3 events in 2023 and she wins the first one, comes third in the second, and comes second in the third. So she had a phenomenal start to 2023. And as you say, leading that race to Costa del Sol by quite a large margin. Someone would have to do the double here in South Africa this week to even get close to where she is. So we'll see how that progresses through the rest of the season.
Yeah, definitely. But Alice Houston as well has made a really good start to the season, and she knows all about winning in South Africa. How impressive have you been about her?
Yeah, she made some changes over the Christmas break. So obviously she had a good season last season and then made some changes behind the scenes, kind of coaching wise. And she says they're really starting to pay off. Obviously, if she came tied second in Kenya and then had top 20 in both Morocco and in Saudi. So she's kind of seeing that come to fruition, and she's just hoping to continue that on through the rest of the season.
Yeah, definitely. So we'll see how she fares this week when we are in South Africa. Now, as you mentioned, and I guess to my begrudgment, you are over there in South Africa. We've got a 2 event swing, so yeah, what should the fans expect?
Yes, I'm back in the warm and sunny weather on tour, which is life on tour. And yeah, we've got 2 weeks in South Africa. So this week we're in Johannesburg for the Joburg Ladies Open. Obviously next week it's the Investex South African Women's Open. But this week it's co-sanctioned event with the Sunshine Ladies Tour. It's their 5th event of their season, and obviously the first one with us. This tournament was won by Lynn Grant in 2022. She was the inaugural winner of the co-sanctioned event, and obviously we know what happened after that. And if you haven't listened to Lynn, she's already been on the podcast this season, so go back and listen to episode 2, where she said that winning in Joburg really helped propel her forward for the season. But yeah, as you say, Alice Houston is the top ranked player coming in on the race to Costa del Sol. But there's plenty of players in form, including South Africa's own Cassandra Alexander, who is from Johannesburg. She's won twice on the Sunshine Ladies Tour so far this year, including last week. And she's just hoping that that form is going to continue this week in front of her friends and family who are hopefully able to come out to the course.
Yeah, definitely. She's been absolutely flying. We've got another South African star who's no stranger to winning on home soil, and that's Leanne Pace, who's also going to be teeing up this week as she targets win number 15 in the Rainbow Nation, which is just unbelievable. So yeah, before we get to that, we were delighted to have her on the podcast, weren't we, Nicola? So take it away and introduce the guest, please.
Yes, I spoke to Leanne Pace, 11-time LET winner and Order of Merit champion from 2010 earlier in the week here in Johannesburg. And we just kind of went a trip down memory lane, to be honest, George, covering how she got onto tour, how she got into golf, her college career, because she did not take the usual route onto tour. Her college career, balancing LET and LPGA, and obviously how much she loves winning at home in South Africa. So, as you said, great guest to have on this week, and let's listen to the interview. Leanne, welcome to the LET Golf Podcast. How are you doing today?
I'm good. Thanks for having me.
No problem at all. Obviously, you've had a busy start to the year combining both Sunshine Ladies Tour and LET. Talk
Right.
me through what you've been doing over the past few weeks.
So we started in Sun City, I believe. Yeah, that was our first event. Seems like a long time ago now. After that, we went to Didata and George, and then to Saudi. Yeah, that was a really nice event. The men's and women's prize fund are now the same, which is awesome. So yeah, made a little check there, which I was happy about. And last week I played at the Jabra in
I was
Joburg
going to say
again.
you had a good week in Saudi, producing some low rounds out there, as you say, get some prize money in the bag at the start of the year. How did you find that week, and where do you think your game's at?
Yeah, it was great. It's obviously really nice to play against the best in the world, and if you can perform against the best in the world, that gives you a little bit of a boost going forward. But yeah, really nice check. I think it came out to like nearly 3 wins, so just for 1 week. So I was happy with that, and yeah, came back and feeling really good about my game. I was a little bit tired last week, but other than that, it was good. Looking forward to the next few weeks.
And we'll go back to earlier on in your career. So talk me through how you got started in golf. When was the first time you picked up a club, and how did that happen?
So it was a very long time ago. So if memory suits me right. It was 17. I started playing 17. I played hockey and tennis and everything else with the ball except golf. I thought it was quite boring actually, and the long shorts on the knees and all that didn't really appeal to me. But I started playing because my dad actually was I was caddying for my dad since I was really young, so I understood the game very well. But then one day I was just hitting some balls with some boys outside while he was doing prize giving, and then there was happened to be a pro and saw me hitting balls and said, "Wow, she's got a lot of talent. She should be playing golf." And then yeah, a year later I was playing golf pretty much full time and no other sports. So I left all the other sports and just concentrated on golf, which was difficult in the beginning, but long it was great.
And did playing those other sports kind of help you obviously build the different strengths of core and athleticness that you need in the game of golf? Was it something that kind of you think helped progress your journey quicker?
I think so. You know, hockey, tennis, it's all rotation. It's all using the same similar muscles than in golf. A little bit different technique, obviously, but I definitely think it made me stronger. Yeah, it just gave me a general sense of the ball and developed my ball skills. Yeah.
And so when you suddenly were playing golf full time, what was that like for it to go from something that, was just something you did with your dad, and then now suddenly it's your job?
Yeah, that was bizarre. I didn't love it at first. I loved playing hockey. That was my absolute passion. I wanted to go to university, so I had my whole life planned out for me. And then everything just suddenly changed. I didn't go to university in South Africa. I went to America. The ball wasn't moving; it was standing still. So that's something else to get to. I've got used to. But yeah, in the beginning, it's quite lonely. I think traveling by yourself and just it was very different. But finally, I went to college and we played as a team there again. So that was a nice experience. Got a degree, and yeah, after that, turning pro was tough. I think in the beginning, didn't make a lot of money the first year. I actually lost both my cards the first year, so I had to go back to both the Q schools. Didn't qualify for LPGA then and started playing in Europe. Again, didn't do so well in the second year. And actually, I wanted to give it up. I was like, okay, this isn't for me. I'm not making cash. In fact, my bank account is in the red. This is not going very well. So, and my dad said to me, no, let's just do one more year. Let's see how it goes. Anyway, that year, I think I finished 20th on the order of merit. And I was like, okay, it's going better. No more red. And yeah, the next year I think I won the Order of Merit. So yeah, it's just patience but yeah, the first few years were very difficult.
And you mentioned your dad there. How much of an influence was he at the start of your career, and obviously helping you on that career path?
No, massive. I mean, he's the one that got me into golf. He's the one who taught me everything about the game. Yeah, he was definitely instrumental in my entire career. He paid for me to go everywhere across the world to compete. So yeah, definitely wouldn't have been a pro golfer if it wasn't for him.
And you mentioned that your plan originally was to go to university in South Africa, stay at home, but then obviously you ended up going to the States instead. How did you end up going over to Murray State and Tulsa? How did that come about?
So, weird story actually. I stopped playing golf when I think I was about 19. I stopped playing, and I started to do managing a signage company. So it's kind of like designing signs and like anything a company needs on like decals on their cars and putting it on. And so I did that for a year and a half in Durban, moved away from home, still didn't go to university. I think I earned, at that point, it was 200 euros a month, working from like 7 till 5. And I got a bit tired of that. And I started hitting a few balls again, started playing for the club team and got interested in it again. And at the same time, I decided, okay, I need money. So I started waitressing. While I was doing that, I was playing a bit of golf, and I just happened to be at a tournament where one of my older friends showed up. She was home from Murray State at that point for the summer. And she said, well, we're looking for people to come play. Do you want a scholarship? And I was like, yeah, okay. So we got one left. 6 months later, did my SATs, and I'm in America. And it was just bizarre. I couldn't believe the turn of events. And yeah, so I started studying there. When I arrived, it was snowing, and I went to make snow angels. I mean, I've never seen snow. And I got pneumonia for the first 2 weeks while I was in America. Just awful. Called my mom. I'm like, okay, I want to come home. She goes, there's no chance. So when the snow finally melted and we stopped hitting off hay, that was what we had to do in Murray. We hit off hay in January, February. Interesting. Then it was great. Then we started playing golf, and I met the team, and we got on really well. Really enjoyed college life, university life. It was quite a big university. I think it was about 80,000 students, I think, at that point. So it was a massive campus. And then after that, I transferred to Tulsa, which was a really small campus. It was about 3,500 students. So I had to adapt to that again, but they were really good, well ranked in America. I think they were top 15 at that point. So got a lot of experience, got to play pretty much against the best in the world now. They were all in college then. Well, after that, not now. I'm a bit older. But yeah, I got really a good experience. I got my degree. And then after, I decided, yeah, I'll give turning pro a chance. That's how.
In terms of obviously you having the team background of hockey, did that kind of help with the team environment of college? Because obviously it's a little bit different. You are playing individually, but you play in a team and you have a captain of a team and you have that whole aspect to it. Did that kind of help you?
Yeah, it did definitely. Made me feel a lot more at home over there, obviously being so far away, and made really good friends, still in touch with them now, even though they live there. So yeah, it definitely helped me adapt, and yeah, gave me the confidence, I guess, to stay over there.
I'm going to say, in terms of your game, what did you learn about it? Because obviously, as you said, you'd said you were going to do golf, then you've given up golf, then you come back into golf again.
Yeah.
How much did you learn during your span when you were at college?
Yeah, I think college is a different animal because you have to kind of perform every week to make the team. And then when you're on the team, you also have to perform, and your teammates, obviously, you don't want to let them down. So, yeah, you practice a lot and you practice together. Even went to the gym, if you can believe that, 3 times a week, 6 o'clock in the morning. That was fun. Not, yeah. So I think it just really gave me a very strong basis on moving forward, and having that patience to persevere as well, for not maybe only for yourself but for other people as well.
And when was the point when you realized, okay, I can turn pro? I can do this. Was it in your final year or was it a point before that?
Well, again, I didn't want to turn pro. So I know this is not the typical golfer story, but um, again, my dad said, let's take a chance. Let's just see how you do. And I said, okay. And off I went, and obviously didn't do well the first two years, but then after that, yeah, when I started playing really well, I started enjoying it like everybody would, of course. Started making friends, and yeah, just enjoyed tour life a lot more than I did in the beginning of the 2 years. But yeah, it would probably be my final year in university.
And another thing that you've done several times is represent your country, represent South Africa on the golfing stage, obviously at the World Amateur Championships and other places. Have you got any cool stories from those times and amateur times?
Uh, wow, this is a really long time ago. I guess the first time I traveled overseas was, I think I was 18. I went to Belgium. It's actually the first time I've ever been overseas. So yeah, that was mind blowing. Really loved it. Also, then made my best friend on tour, and we started traveling together and playing together at all of those events and playing against each other. And but cool stories, none that I can really remember offhand right now. It seems like such a long time ago.
But how proud were you to kind of fly the flag for your country and be able to compete in those tournaments?
No, it was massive, of course. For I think in any sport, it's great to represent your country, and I was definitely very proud to do so, and to have the opportunity to just to travel over the world, across the world, and compete in those big events as well.
Of course. And you mentioned previously, obviously, the Q schools and your first year on tour. How much of a struggle, how different is Q school? Start off with, because obviously you want to get that card, but it's tough.
It's probably the worst week of any golfer's career, I would say, and especially if there's bad weather and things like that involved. But it is so stressful. Even just one shot, everything is just hangs in the balance, and especially when you get closer to the end, you just want it to be finished, but you still have to concentrate, and it's a very very difficult and very expensive week as well. So obviously, if you don't make it, then yeah, it would be a huge bummer.
And obviously, as you said, you kind of did both Q schools.
But 1 year.
How well, yeah. What was it like doing that? Because not everyone does it. Sometimes people choose one over the other, whereas obviously you did both.
Well, I was still in America. I just wrote my final exams. Literally the day of the final exam, I flew to Q school. Just yeah, I had to pack everything. Um, American Q school, I think it was 2 or 3 stages that you had to go through. Um, Also, same thing. I think you make about 50 or 60 made it. I'm talking about back then. Now it's different now. Into the final stage, then you had to play 2 different golf courses and 5 days in a row, um, which is yeah tough. It's really tough, especially that last day. Um, yeah, I definitely would never want to do that again. I think at that point it also cost about $10,000. It's probably at least doubled now. But once you get it, obviously it's difficult to lose your card. I have to say, once you're in and you make some money and you make some point, they really do look after the players keeping their cards. I think the one in Europe just after it was a week after it was freezing, like 1 degree Celsius. I think it was La Cala we played, and this course, oh, so tough. As tough as it is, and it was 1 degree Celsius. So yeah, it's just not fun.
Course, I'm sure anyone who's been through Q school listening knows exactly what you're talking about. And especially as you say, the different conditions if you do both of them. Like even now, obviously playing in the States and then coming over to Spain, which it's not as cold as other parts of Europe, but it's
Right,
still colder
it's
and
cool.
different to what the States is. And obviously you mentioned the fact that obviously losing your cards. What was that like? Obviously, how much of a blow was it for you to kind of have to reset yourself and go, did you have to assess your goals and assess everything?
Yeah, I think the mistake I made in the first year was that I tried to play both, and I went over and I came back and I didn't just choose one. Where the second year I didn't qualify for America, and I was able to only focus in Europe and get more used to that and the travel and the courses, and which are also very different from the LPGA. But yeah, of course, it's a bummer. You have to go back and it's not fun, but at least when you have done it before, you know what to expect as well. So I was kind of a veteran at Q schooling, if you call it, you can say that. Um, but yeah, no, it was definitely a bummer, and I think it was important for me not to have both cards the second year, to just concentrate on one and get used to that also.
And as you say, obviously concentrating on Europe, and then you kind of reaffirmed yourself with where you finished in the order of merit. What did click for you that year, do you think? Did you just get more used to life on tour?
No, I just became a better golfer, to be honest. I practiced quite a lot. I saw this coach, his name's James Petts. I worked really, really hard with him on my game, and I was able to shape the ball both ways, which was great. So I could access those difficult pins. Started trusting my game more. I started hitting more different shots, and yeah, just experiment with golf in general. I think when I started out on tour, I only had one shot, and it was a low hooky left shot. So nobody wants that. And by 2010, I was able to hit a high cut. I was able to hit it against the wind, and I practiced accordingly to the course as well. So if you needed, for instance, a lot of cuts that week, I would hit a lot of cuts that week. If you needed a lot of wedges, then just focusing on the right thing just made me a much better player. So I started making less mistakes and more birdies, and pretty much that's what happened.
So you mentioned 2010. Obviously, that was the year that everything clicked for you. What was it like going through that year, winning, and then ending up winning the Order of Merit?
Oh, super cool, of course. um, it's a Winning is a funny thing, because once you do it, once you get that breakthrough, you realize, you're like, oh wow, okay, well, it was actually just doing the same thing and the end result being different. Obviously, you're under pressure, but if you can control that feeling of pressure and actually turn it to your advantage, then you end up a winner. Like, it's the weirdest thing. And then I got used to the feeling, like, okay, I'm playing well enough, and I started being more aggressive, and yeah, it was just miracle. Yeah, I suppose it was great. I loved it. And also, I had the bit of a deal against Laura that year. I think she won 5 times as well, and it came down to the very last event. Same as last year with Lynn and Maya, which made it super exciting. And obviously, she's such a legend. That year I learned so much from her. Um, and yeah, it was a fantastic year. I wish I could have it all over again.
And how proud were you to be like a South African who'd won the Order of Merit on the LET?
Yeah, I was obviously really proud. The very cool thing about the ceremony at the in Dubai was that I got all these messages from Ernie Els and Gary Player and Louis and Brandon Grace, and so that made it very, very special. Obviously, also for them to be proud of another South African, and being a girl golfer as well. You know, at that point we weren't always acknowledged so much by the men, and it was just really nice thing to know. Yeah.
Obviously, another award that you got is being voted Players Player of the Year. How much does it mean when you get voted that by obviously your peers and your colleagues who see you week in, week out?
Yeah, I think that's even more special, because, like you say, they think that you were the best golfer that year, especially going up against somebody like Laura. Didn't expect it, to be fair, but yeah, that just meant that the whole tour did think that at that in that year I was the better golfer. Yeah, it was awesome.
And some of your favorite highlights on playing on the LET. What was that first win like to get over the line?
I still remember it like yesterday. I played really well during the week. It was quite a tight golf course, which suits my game. And it came down to it was the second last hole. I missed the green. I had this awful chip, um, tight pin in the rough, buried. So now I know I cannot make a mistake here. Yeah, so that chip was vital. But the funny thing about that week is also I was struggling with my chipping, and that's when I met Annelies Cordell, and she was chipping so great. I'm like, I'm playing so well, but I'm really struggling with my chipping, and she helped me literally the day before. And then I had this exact chip that we were practicing for probably an hour the night before till like late. And I was like, okay, you got this, you did it, boom, like that, birdie on the last hole, to win, long putt left to right, and it went in, and I just went like, wow, that's amazing. Then I ran off the green because my friend hit me by accident with a champagne bottle on my head. I'm like, you're supposed to give me the bottle, not hit me with it. But yeah, no, that was great. And so funny at that point, I think I won about 80,000 euros. But now I'm like, I don't know about tax or anything like that, right? So I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna buy a house. No, get back to South Africa. It's like becomes like 40,000. I'm like, okay, I can't afford a house yet, but that's all right. But at the end of the year, it was good. But yeah, it's just funny the things you think when you're younger and you don't really actually have a clue.
I was going to say, I'm sure winning 5 times that year helped a little bit in terms of trying to get a house. You had that 5 times over, so
Yeah.
would have helped you slightly. Are there any other memorable moments that you've had? Obviously, we are here in South Africa this week, and this next week is a tournament that you absolutely love to win at.
Love.
Are any of those included in your highlight package?
Oh, definitely. I think last year was yeah, so it's one of my favorites, if not my favorite win of all of them, including the one on the LPGA. It was just so surreal, and everybody was there, and it was such a good setting, and it was so silent when we got to the green. It was so quiet, and obviously then all the putts went in, and everybody cheered, and then it was busy, 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 and then it was just complete and utter silence. You could not hear a single thing. Um, my friends and family were all there, which made it so much more special. Uh, the year before SA Open, I think it was the COVID year, so nobody was there. It was, I didn't even know I was winning. I hit it in the bush on the last hole, and I thought I had to make a pass. So am I going to go for it? Am I not? So I'm like, I'll just chip out. So I chipped out and I got to the green, and I saw I was winning. All I needed to do was a two putt. I was like, oh, okay, that was a bit anticlimax, but okay, that's fine. Thank you. It was just weird. Um, Another favorite SA Open win was the one. I think it was the first co-sanction event in Natal, KwaZulu Natal. That was a really, really big one as well. Really good final day, to come from behind and win it. And also just friends and family, just everybody was super happy. Oh, of course, if South African wins the SA Open, it's like in any country, right? But yeah, those are definitely some of my favorite highlights of the European tour.
You mentioned obviously your win on the LPGA. What was it like going back over there? Obviously once you'd won the Order of Merit on the LET and you'd been in Europe for a few years, you then obviously made the decision to go back. What was that like? And then getting that win in 2013?
Um, to be honest with you, I didn't want to go over there. I was quite content in Europe. I was making good money every year. But my coach convinced me at the time to go because just for the mere fact to compete against the best in the world and see how you do, um, which was fine. But I knew for a fact that I was quite happy in my little spot in Europe. But I did go over, and it was the same time as when the tour started struggling a little bit. So it was actually really good timing for me, to go and try and make my mark over there. The first year, I actually had a conditional card, so I didn't have a full card. I got into this tournament, I believe it was Toledo, later in the year, and I finished top 5 in that event, which got me into the Asian events. So I qualified for the Asian events. The tournament I won was literally just after the tournament I won in South Africa. So it was the SA Open in KwaZulu Natal. And I got home, and I said, okay, I'm not going. I don't want to fly to China right now. And my sister goes, you are going. I'm like, I'm not going. So you're going anyway. So we had this huge argument that I am getting on that plane tomorrow. So I got on the plane, get to China. I think we got to China the Tuesday morning. Had to play the pro-am on the Wednesday. Then we were so tired and slightly hungover that when we got there, we didn't feel very good. And then it was a time when Ebola was a big thing. And so we were tired, and the tour came to us and said we needed to be tested for Ebola. And I'm like, South Africa doesn't even have one case of Ebola, but okay, why do we have to? Whole thing went to quarantine, everything. Then the next day, oh, that was after the first day actually. I was 5 under at that point. So, and then this just became such a big thing, and everybody was concentrating on that instead of the tournament. So I just said, okay, I don't want to hear another single word about Ebola. I'm going to win this tournament and I'm going to leave. And then I withdrew from the tournament. It sounds really cocky right now, but I was like, I'm playing so well. I'm going to win. I just had a feeling I'm going to win. And then I withdrew already that week from the next tournament because I was like, okay, I'm over. I need to go home. And yeah, then I ended up winning. I was playing behind Michelle Wee. And the tournament was delayed until the Monday because of extreme rainfall. And on the Monday morning, we still had to finish 9 holes. And I just saw her like hitting it close, missing the putt, close, missing the putt. I'm like, oh my God, can this day just be over? I just need this week to be over. And she was hitting it so well and just not making the putts. But yeah, anyway, then I buried the last hole. Quick prize giving, got straight into a car and flew home. So that was that. Nobody at the golf course. Nobody.
Definitely a memorable week for a myriad of reasons. You mentioned then obviously you went to the LGA kind of when the LET was struggling a little bit, and you've seen the differences having been on tour for such a long time. How have you seen it grow and adapt over the past 15 years that you've been around?
Massively. I think I spent about 6 years in America before I came back, and yeah, there's been a massive growth in on the LET. Not only financially, not only the money. I think the players are better. The what do you call it? Uh, the level is so much higher than when I first came out. You can see it in the scores. You can see top 20 players popping up from Europe every year. There's Ataya, there's Lynn, there's Maya, there's all these really strong players coming from Europe, which is obviously really good for our tour, and it also shows that the level in the competition has increased a lot.
Of course, and as I said earlier, we are back in South Africa this week. How much has golf changed here in your homeland? How much have you seen it evolve over the past few years? And obviously, as we mentioned at the start, the Sunshine Ladies Tour now being a regular thing every year, how much has that helped?
Yeah, I think I've been playing the Sunshine Ladies Tour for over 10 years now. And I think when we started, it was 300,000 Rand, which it's what's that in Europe? Euro is 15,000 euro, I think we played for back then. Now we've got 2 co-sanctioned events. We've got a really big tournament in Data. We've got the Order of Merit. Yeah, and every single year the prize fund increases, and the level of play as well, the level of the strength of the fields. You could see last week, this week in Sun City, it's full field events now. People want to come and play, and I think it's just going to keep growing. But yeah, I'm immensely proud of the tour. And all the work that Polly put into it. I think if it wasn't for her, the tour definitely would not have been there. So we should be very grateful to her as well.
Obviously, why is it so important for you to, because you always have done, play the South African events on the LET and, you know, be someone who comes back and plays at home? Obviously, next week we'll have Ash back playing on the LET as well. What does
Yeah.
it mean for all of you? Because you all love to come back and play play on these events.
Yeah, we do. I know Ash loves to come back and play here as well. She just has a much busier schedule than we do. But it's so fantastic that she's joining the event next week. I can't wait to see her play there, and I'm sure the whole of South Africa will be watching and supporting her, which is just fantastic for the event. But yeah, I always like being home. I like playing in front of my friends and family that don't often get the chance to see us play, and just to be able to just fly home for the weekend like I did now from Joburg that's a massive treat. Obviously not spending so much time here. But yeah, I've always supported tour as long as I play, and I'm immensely proud of what's it become.
Of course. And why do you think it brings the best out in you? Is it because you're playing in front of your friends and family? Is it just that connection that you have to home?
I think so. The SA Open, I mean, it's probably a bit of a pride thing as well. I think every single South African wants to win that event. Joburg, I'm not so good up there, I have to say. It's a bit of a different style of golf. I think long hitters do exceptional there, and I don't always get it right. I'm not sure why. I love playing at the coast. I love playing in Cape Town. Obviously, if the wind blows, I've got a bit of an advantage on that just because I grew up in it. But I don't know. It's just I think I'm really proud of South Africa in general, South African sport, and to be a champion on home ground is just something so special.
You said your game is in a good place, obviously, having had the start of the season. Are you confident that you can get another LET win this year? Is that something that you would like to happen?
Yeah, definitely. I'd like to win as many times as I can. I feel like it's really good. Feel like it might happen in the next few weeks. If not, I'll have to reassess. We have a few months off now before we start. I'm not going to Singapore, but in May. But yeah, I feel really strong mentally. Actually, I feel really really good, and I think I could see that in the scores in Saudi how well I played. Set my mind to having a 10 under weekend, at a 9 under weekend. So that just tells me that first my game is in a good enough place where I can chase what I want and I can hit the shots I want, and the rest will take care of itself as well. So yeah, I think I will. I hope so.
And how important is your mentality to you? Obviously, as you've said before, with the setbacks and then coming back stronger, it seems something that you're really resilient and that you're able to kind of focus on specific things. Is that the case, or am I just making that?
No. Yeah, I think in the past everybody knew that I was a bit of a hothead. I feel like I put myself under so much pressure in the past, and I really wanted to win, and I got used to winning, and I put so much expectation on myself to still keep on doing that that I lost sight of actually just playing one shot at a time, which is what I usually played like. I feel like I'm definitely back there now. I'm back to where I used to be in my mental strength. I think when it comes down to the line, down to the line wire, I definitely have that reserve to get to the next level and do it. But yeah, I feel good. I feel healthy. Feel happy. Got engaged. So everything in my life right now is fantastic, and yeah, just super happy.
I was going to say, you did mention Annalise earlier, and you announced obviously on Instagram that you'll be getting married next year. Have you done any wedding plans? Is anything in the works already?
Yeah, because we weren't supposed to be home a lot, so we jumped right in, and we have a venue, and we have a date. It's the 13th of January next year. But that's we'll do the formalities before that, and then that will just be the reception. But yeah, we need to play well this year because we have two weddings. We have one and we have one in France. The joys of being from two different countries, I suppose. But yeah, we're super super excited, and we're happy to have a venue and a date. It's going to be a beach wedding, which is nice, and not too big, about 50 people, I think.
Very nice, very nice. And yes, as you said, both better play well.
Yeah,
Get both of those covered
I'm
this year.
glad I'm paying for the one in Rand.
And then finally, what does Leanne like to do in her spare time? I know obviously you like to spend time with family, as you've mentioned, the beach, water sports. Is that the kind of thing that you like to do when you're not on the golf course?
I do. I love fishing as well. Love braaiing. Like you say, spending time with my family, being at the pool, just doing some normal things. Also decorating the house was really fun. We painted and so I don't know how that helps golf.
That's great.
It did.
I love that. Decorating is very fun. Okay, as I said, we've got a quiz to end it on. So 5 questions. You've actually covered some of them already, so I think you'll be okay. So Leanne, first up, how many professional wins do you have?
I actually know this one. 23.
Yes.
Ah!
Do you know how many on the LET?
Ooh. 11?
Yes. So see, you do know your stuff. Okay, what was your lowest round on the LET?
64?
Yes, and you've done a 64 twice. Can you think where you've done that?
Oh. No. Nope.
I
No,
mean, you got 64 right. That was the correct answer. But the Finnair Masters in 2010, you shot a 64,
serious?
and the 2021 Dubai Moonlight Classic also shot a 64.
Yeah, that was just the other year.
Yeah,
The-
not that long ago.
like 13 years. Yeah.
So I know you'll definitely know the answer to this one. Who came runner-up to you when you won the Order of Merit in 2010?
Miss Dame Laura Davies.
Correct. When you won the Sanya Ladies Open, which helped clinch obviously your LET Player of the Year award in 2013, who did you beat in a playoff?
I know, but I forgot. I know, this little Chinese girl.
Yeah.
I don't know.
I mean, it was 10 years ago, so I'll let you.
Thank
you. Yu Yang Zhang was
Oh,
the player.
There.
Yeah.
Nice.
Yeah. The final question. You produced a memorable comeback to win the 2014 South African Open. How many shots behind were you heading into the final day?
2014.
Yeah. 5. Yes.
Was it?
Correct. Yes. 5.
Nice.
You do know your stuff.
Actually thought I was
Nothing
15. Obviously not.
nothing to worry about at all. Okay, so Leanne, thank you very much for joining me today on the LET Golf podcast, and good luck for the next 2 weeks in South Africa.
Thank you. Thanks for going down memory lane. It was actually quite fun.
So there we have it, a brilliant chat with the one and only Leanne Pace as she gets set for the LET's South African double header, which begins this week with the Joburg Open at Modderfontein Golf Club. As always, we'll be there to cover all the action, where we'll also be bringing you some exclusive interviews from South Africa, including from AIG Women's Open champion Ashley Buhai, so stay tuned for that, it's one you really don't want to miss. Until then, we hope you enjoyed episode 4 of the LET Golf podcast. If you did, you know the drill, please leave us a review on Spotify, Apple, or whichever platform you're streaming from. And remember to follow us on socials at LET Golf. Thanks for tuning in, guys, and we'll see you next week.
It's a competition clinching shot. Whoa! How about that?
The LET Golf Podcast, the official podcast of the Ladies European Tour.